Hey everyone, welcome to my live stream. Um, Today we'll be flying from Phoenix to San Diego with the 737 Southwest Airlines. Um, I believe this is my first time live streaming with the 737. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah. So I've already set up the FMC and everything. The route we'll be flying is Judith 2, so the star Judith 2, Mohawk, J2, IPL, and then we're going to be on the Lindy 3 Star into San Diego. So all the waypoints are already in, and pretty much everything is set up. So top descent distance, we'll be cruising at an altitude of flight level 340, so we'll say about 125 miles. And I'll clear this. We'll be on auto climb, and it's already activated, so everything looks good. So autopilot is already set up. And before you depart, we're going to take a look at the the SID. So let me pull that up. Okay, I'm going to switch screens for a second. All right, right here. All right, so this is the Judith 2 departure from Phoenix. And we're going to be taking off on runway 25 right. So we're going to fly a heading of, well, 258, but we'll be at 270 in GFS. We're using true headings. So we're going to hold 270 until 1640 feet. And then at 1640 feet, we're going to direct to DAVS, waypoint DAVS, and then we're just going to let the autopilot take control from there. So DAVS, vans below 8,000. So we're going to level off at 8,000 until we pass vans. And then we will pass clubs and then the Gila Bend VOR. And then we're going to turn right a little bit and then cross Judith and then Mohawk. So that's pretty much it. There's a narrative, but we don't need to worry about that. So I'm going to switch back. Oops. All right. All right, so here we're on 25 right. We're going to use flaps 1 for departure, and I'm just going to go into my options and configure everything. All right, this looks good. All right. So test my flight controls. Everything looks good. And our V1 speed is 130 knots. V rotate is 145. And our V2 is 155. So, and once again, we're going to level off at 8,000 until we cross, I think it was clubs or vans. Yes, so we cross vans below 8,000, at or below 8,000. So, without further ado, let's take off. So, 50%, release brakes, stable, 100%. All right, V1, rotate, V2. Oh man. Gear up. Alright, so 1640 feet is when we will turn on the autopilot. So right now. So we are turning to our first waypoint. Davs. So once we're about 1,500 feet above the ground, right now, we're gonna nose down a little bit so we can gain speed, and we're engage auto throttle, and then flaps up. Alright, we'll increase to 250 knots now. Well, 245. We don't want to overspeed. Alright, now we'll engage altitude mode and vertical speed. So this is a relatively short flight. It'll take around, I'd say, an hour from takeoff to touchdown. So it's only about 280 nautical miles. I will decrease that vertical speed. And we are directing to vans now. So we're going to level off at 8,000 pretty soon until we pass vans. Okay, so we just passed vans, so now we can just dial up our altitude to a cruise speed of 34,000, or cruising altitude of 34,000. Alright, so auto climb is on, and everything is looking good. There is United 0589 Heavy right behind us. Alright, so here we are coming up on at 10,000 feet. So auto climb will now take control, and it looks like we're turning to Gila Bend VOR now. So we're now speeding up to 290 knots. So if you're watching this, it may look like I'm lagging a lot, but the Google Hangouts only broadcasts at like 10 frames per second or less. So it may look like I'm getting really bad frame rates, but I'm actually getting around, 20, more, maybe more or less, more less if I'm on the ground and more if I'm in the air. But yeah, I can't really do anything about the lag. So so now I'm gonna switch to cockpitless cam because I get better frame rates. Looks like we're turning to Judith. So since this is a relatively short flight, we're gonna start our arrival briefing now. So we're gonna fly the Lindy 3 arrival into San Diego. So let me pull that up, and I'm gonna switch screens. All right. So here is the Lindy 3 arrival. We're gonna take the Imperial transition. So we're gonna be from Imperial, we're gonna cross Kumba and then Greed, above 12,000, below 14,000, and at 270 knots. And then we're going to cross Jack between 10 and 11,000. And then more above, at or above 8,000. And then we're going to cross Lucky at or above 6,100. And then Lindy at or above 5,000. And then from Lindy, if this were an ATC flight, we would get vector to Vida, but there's no ATC, so we're just going to fly direct. So direct to Vida, and then from Vida, we're going to fly one of the approaches into KSAN, which will be the runway 27. So what we're going to do now is find an approach plate for runway 27. So I'm going to switch back. All right. So the best place to go, in my opinion, is FlightAware for approach plates and charts and other things. It's just a great resource. And then there is the RNAV GPS runway 27. So it looks like this is the one we're going to do. So I'm going to download that, and then switch screens again. All right, so this is the RNAV runway 27 approach, and we're going to start at Vida, the beginning, or not the beginning. We're just going to join at Vida, and then we're going to cross O'Kane. So O'Kane, Sidhe, and then Rebo, and then runway 27, and then this is a vertical profile. So at Vida, we're going to be at or above 4,000, and then we're going to cross O'Kane at or above 3,600, and then Sidhe at or above 2,500, and then Rebo, our final approach fix, at or above 2,000. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The whole thing will be flown at a heading of 272 degrees, which is, I believe, 283 in GEFS. So this is a magnetic heading, but GEFS uses true heading, so it'll actually be 283 degrees. So what we're going to do is we're going to be on autopilot until the final approach fix, and then we're going to turn autopilot off, put our gear down, and then fly the rest of the approach manually as a visual approach. So yeah, pretty straightforward. This is a 3.5 degree approach, which is a steeper approach than the normal 3-degree glide slope. So it's going to be a little bit different. All right, I'm going to switch back. Alright, so we are now at flight level 340, and in fact we're just about to begin a descent. So 125 miles is our top of descent distance, but I think I'm going to increase it to 130 so we can make that altitude restriction. Alright, so we're coming up on top of descent here in just a moment. So I'm going to switch back to follow cam. So our first altitude restriction is greed between 12,000 and 14,000. So once auto descent starts, hold on, I forgot to engage auto descent. Right, there we go. So once auto descent starts, it automatically puts in an altitude of 11,000 feet. But it's not working right now, so we're going to plug in 13,000 instead, so we can make the altitude restriction. Yeah, I'm turning auto descent off. So we're going to do a manual descent. So what I'm going to do now is plug in I'm going to enter the approach waypoint into the FMC. So from VITA, we're going to cross OCAIN, so OKAIN. Next is CIJHI, CIJHI. And the last one is REBO. So REBO is our final approach waypoint. And that's it. I'm going to switch over to KIAS from Mach. So it looks like we're going to easily make this altitude restriction at greed. Yeah. So I'm going to decrease my speed a little bit. Alright, so we're gonna level off at 13,000, and here we are. We're turning to our next waypoint, which is Jack, and that has an altitude restriction of between 10,000 and 11,000 feet. So that is 11 nautical miles away, which is a long ways for the altitude, for the amount we have to descend. So we're in no hurry to descend. So we'll start a really shallow descent right now, and we're gonna level off at 11,000. Alright, we're gonna start slowing down. So 260 knots. So we can meet the altitude, the speed restriction of 250 knots below 10,000 feet. Alright, leveling off at 11,000. And I think we are heading to our next waypoint. So more at or above 8,000. So we're gonna cross at 8,000. We're gonna decrease to 245 knots. So we're heading toward Lucky now. So I believe the altitude restriction is 6,100. Yes, so 6,100. Right, next is Lindy at or above 5,000. So down to 5,000. All right, so we have crossed Lindy, and we are now on to the, we're actually going to the approach now. So that would be Vida at or above 4,000. So we're going to go down to 4,000 now. We're going to start slowing down. So I'm going to try to be at 210 knots by the time we join the approach. So we are a little bit high, but I think we'll be all right. So next is O'Kane. So 3,600. All right, decreasing to 185 knots. We have flaps 1. We'll send to 2,500. All right, so it looks like we are on the glide path. So the PAPI is 3 degrees. It is set up for an approach of 3 degrees, but this is actually a 3.5 degree approach. So we're going to actually ignore the PAPI and try to stay off 4 whites instead. So leveling off at 2,500, and I think we can start descending for our final approach. So I'm going to go autopilot off, so manual control, and then gear down. All right, flaps 2. So approach speed is 140 knots with flaps 3. So we're going to slow to 140 and flaps 3, and then maintain that. All right, short final. We're a bit high, but it's all right. All right. So 20 feet will idle the throttle. So this looks like idle, touchdown. All right, so reverse thrust until 60 knots, and at 80 knots, we can start manual braking. All right, so manual braking and reverse thrust off. All right, so here we are on the ground. So I'm gonna fix some settings, turn up the sensitivity, so we can steer off the runway. So we'll take this exit on the left, and we'll go spoilers down, and we'll put our flaps up. So since it's a short taxi, I'm going to taxi to the gate and then end it there. So I'll just take the closest gate, which is this one right in front of us. So I'll take this taxiway. There is no nose wheel steering for the 737 yet, but there will be an update. There will be an update soon. So once it's updated, then the nose wheel steering extension will work with the 737 and other new aircraft. All right, so we're going to park right here and shut our engines down. All right, so brakes, parking brakes on, and the engine's off. So thank you everyone for watching my live stream, and I hope to do more in the future. I haven't done a lot of them recently, and as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks.